Godzilla is undeniably the most famous movie monster of all time, and with 28 movies under his belt, he's also the most prolific. He's certainly gone through many changes in the nearly 60 years that he's been around. For a brief time, Toho had decided to put Godzilla to rest for good. The 1995 movie Godzilla vs. Destoroyah marked the end of the Heisei era and the end of Godzilla in general. It was the movie that killed Godzilla for good, and a signal that Toho was finally done with the Big G. But in 1998, TriStar released the horrendous American Godzilla remake directed by Independence Day director Roland Emmerich. Hardcore Godzilla fans everywhere were pissed, and so was Toho. Because of this, Toho decided to initiate a whole new series of Godzilla movies dubbed the Millennium Series. This new series began with the release of 1999's Godzilla 2000 and ended with 2004's Godzilla Final Wars. The third entry in this series is the movie I will be talking about today in B-Movie Theater, titled Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack, which is definitely the longest title given to any Godzilla movie. All-Out Attack was directed by Shusuke Kaneko, the same man responsible for the epic 90s Heisei Gamera trilogy, so you can understand why Toho selected him to direct their third newest Godzilla movie. So, is it any good? Well, let's find out. The movie opens with one of our main characters, Commander Taizo Tachibana, addressing a class of soldiers about how Japan has endured great peace and prosperity in the past 50 years since Godzilla's original attack on Japan. The funniest thing about this scene is that they waste no time in referencing the American Godzilla, talking about a monster that attacked New York City that was mistaken for Godzilla. It's also interesting to note that, like the last two Millennium films, this one is a reboot to the series, ignoring all previous Godzilla movies except for the 1954 original, a trait that the Millennium series would become infamous for. With the exception of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Godzilla Tokyo SOS, that is. The film then shifts to General Tachibana's daughter, Yuri, our main character, who is a reporter for a low-budget docudrama company that makes hokey, ghost catcher-esque news reports. A series of earthquakes begin to hit Japan, one of which a lone survivor claims to have seen Godzilla in one of. A giant moth larva surfaces at Lake Ikeda, and one of the Defense Force's submarines catches a brief glimpse of Godzilla's dorsal fins underwater, confirming that he is indeed back. Yuri encounters an old man who tells her the legend of the three guardian monsters, destined to save the world from the evil of Godzilla. Yuri deduces that the strange occurrences happening in Japan are the work of the guardian monsters Baragon, Mothra, and Ghidorah. The movie officially begins when Godzilla finally surfaces in Maganote, and Baragon appears in Hakote. After Godzilla tramples his way through Japan, leaving untold amounts of death and destruction in his path, he encounters Baragon in Hakote, and the two monsters slug it out. Baragon puts up a good fight to be sure, but in the end, Godzilla proves to be too much for him, and is disintegrated by his atomic breath. How will the other two Guardian monsters fare against Goji, and what will become of Yuri and the other two characters? You'll just have to watch the movie to find out. If there is one thing that Kaneko has kept consistent in this film from the Gamera movies, it's the pacing and strength of the story and the development and likability of the characters. The story is well thought out and never gets boring. The characters are also very likable and memorable in their own ways, so much so that you really end up caring about whether they live or die in the end, which is quite rare for a Godzilla movie. But of course, the biggest attraction is the monsters themselves. The visual effects are nothing short of incredible. Everything from the CGI to the monster suits to miniatures and green screen effects are all fantastic, again, just like the Gamera movies. I especially like the way Godzilla himself looks. His appearance is based on the original 50s Godzilla, but this one is unique in the fact that he has blank white eyes. Kaneko himself said that this was done to give Godzilla a more evil, demonic look, which makes sense, since he's actually the bad guy in this movie, which is really only one of 3 instances I can think of where Godzilla is the villain. This movie is also unique from the average Godzilla film in the fact that the plot revolves more around mysticism and fantasy rather than science fiction, like most other Godzilla movies. This is my favorite scene. They try firing a missile with a drill on it to drill into Godzilla's flesh, but uh-oh, bad idea. Godzilla turns around and blows the fuck out of him. Boom! Not even the battleships are spared. That's why you don't fuck with Godzilla. A great movie, one of the best Godzilla movies ever made, and overall, one of the best kaiju movies ever made. This has been my 5th B-Movie Theater. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a good day.